So this section is also for everyone, and we're going to focus on scoring. And I'll start off by saying that we will have major changes to the way scoring is done. And even with this presentation, we might actually have a very different process in place in terms of the way that the data is entered when we hit the state tournament. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that. So we have, I'm going to call these team ranking points. And in the past, with 42 teams, we ranked every single team. We would break places at every single team. Over the summer, I did analysis on a bunch of tournaments to see what would happen if we, let's say, ranked only the top 20 teams. And it turns out that there is no change in team ranking. This is the overall points for first, second, and third place, and actually all the way up through seventh place. And right at about eighth place, we actually started to see a little bit of shifting in the way that the teams would rank. So what we've decided to do is, instead of ranking in basically ranking from first to 42nd place for 42 teams, we would rank from first to 20th place. And then every team in an event that is beyond 20th place will still get 20 points. So this has some effects here in, for example, the ties. So all ties have to be broken from places 1 to 19, but beyond 19th place, no ties need to be broken. All the raw scores must be determined. So we still want you to score everybody, of course. You don't want to say, ooh, these are better than others, and I'm just going to rank these top 19 and score these top 19. You want to still do the work of scoring everybody. And then, because we're going to report the raw scores to the teams. But then we'll have these team ranking points that will be assigned, and these team ranking points get added up for a team total that determines the first, second, and third place overall. So here's a summary of this. So teams that rank in places 1 to 20 will receive 1 to 20 points. Teams that rank in places 21 to 42 will still receive 20 points. So what you'll see is you'll go down the scoring spreadsheet, and it will say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way to 20, and then 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20. So if there is a case in which, let's say, there's a participation point. So for example, students build a bridge, supposed to be, I don't know, 35 centimeters long, and they make it not 35 centimeters long or longer, and it can't compete. In that case, we'll give them a P, which is last place of those teams that show up. Now, in the state tournament, that's going to be equivalent to 20. But let's say for some weird reason, let's say Mission Possible, only 15 teams come and compete. So that means we rank 1 to 15, but we still got 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So that team that showed up that maybe couldn't compete would get 16 points for the P. So but like I say, I don't see that happening at the state tournament. For our regional tournaments, this is more relevant. Then for the teams that are no-shows, then they will receive a no-show score or 21 points. Teams are disqualified. So these are the unsportsmanlike behavior that I mentioned earlier. Then they will receive 22 or more. And then, of course, the combined score of all the 23 events determine the winner of the middle and high school, with low score winning. So here's an example of this. So we've got 42 teams. 20 get scored, or 20 get the team ranking points. Well, everybody gets team ranking points, but this N is 20. So first place is 1, 2, and then 20th to 42nd place, they get 20 team ranking points. And the P is variable, but most like at state tournament, it's going to be worth 20 points. No shows 21, DQs are 22 plus, plus, plus. Okay, so we break all the ties with team ranking points at 1 to 19, because at 20, everybody gets the same score and beyond. All right, so you're going to get a scoring sheet that looks very similar to this. It will have a raw score here that you put in. So the raw score is determined by whatever you do with your event. So it could be a percentage, it could be just a collection of points, it could be a formula from an engineering event. And so that engineering event raw score, it could be a huge number, it could be a negative number. And then, depending on the event, there are tiers. So the tier will be defined within the rules, within the scoring, and you'll put, if necessary, you can leave it blank if, and we can assume it's 1. But tier 1 gets ranked before all the tier 2 teams. And then all the 2-tier teams get ranked before all the tier 3. So we might actually see a raw score that's very high. Let's say if high score wins over here. Let's say high score wins. But if they're in a tier 3, they get ranked beyond all those that are in tier 1 and tier 2. Now, if you have a tie here, you want to write down what, let's say you had 2 teams that were 42 points. Who was first place in the tie? Who was second place in the tie? Who was third place in the tie? So if you've got several ties, then tell me who won the tie break. That's first place. Who got second in the tie? That's 2. So you put 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever you need. So on all the cases, the ties are going to be determined by low score wins. And then most of our events are high score wins. And the only one that I can think of is bungee drop, where that is high score. And then, by the way, this one on your score sheet that I'll have for you will say rank. So you would actually put in what would be the rank. First place, second place, third place, fourth place, all the way up through 20. And if you don't feel comfortable with that, no big deal. Just write 1 through 19, and then we'll take care of the rest. And we're actually going to do some different things here where we're going to have you sit down in front of computers, and that's going to be read into the scoring system. So we'll be able to help with that a little bit more efficiently than in the past. So here is an example of the Excel spreadsheet. This has got the raw scores. They were all in tier 1, and there were no tie breaks. And in this case, we see here that we've got the place and the points. Now this will come if you're using the Excel spreadsheet. Now if you're going to bring along a computer, you can download this and use it on the day of the competition to go ahead and write in the raw score, and then we can go ahead and just import that in to the Excel spreadsheet that we've got. So you could bring that along and we'll pop it in and copy the scores over. In this case, by the way, the reason that there's a bunch of 11s here is because this was done at a regional tournament in which there were not 42 teams. There were only 15 here, so we scored the first 10. So again, here this looked like a no-show. No, here was a no-show. So they got 11. In this case, it would be 21. So don't let that throw you. This just came from the regional competition. Now, if you're running an engineering type of event, and this also includes compound and simple machines, there is a scoring spreadsheet that I'm going to post online that will have the teams already populated that will allow you to calculate the raw score. So you'll answer, in this case, a bunch of questions here. This looks like it's bridge building. You'll answer questions and it will generate a raw score. This raw score is then put into, although the numbers don't match because these are 2 different things here, but you'll put this into the raw score in the other spreadsheet or on your worksheet that you've got. So there's an Excel spreadsheet that helps with specific events to generate a raw score. Those raw scores are then translated over, they're moved over into the scoring spreadsheet that helps determine the ranking of the teams. So at the end of the day, and also even throughout the day, you'll have that scoring spreadsheet. You want to, first of all, keep up on all of the scoring. There's a scoring checklist, which I believe I've got coming up. You're going to place the student work in rank order with the first place on the top. So as you're going through the day, just keep those organized. You're going to bring these to headquarters with the student work in rank order. Then you're going to read out the scores to somebody sitting in front of a computer who will then either enter it in or they can copy over your spreadsheet. That's the scoring spreadsheet, not the raw score Excel sheet that's used to determine raw score for specific events. It's always confusing here because we could have potentially two different scoring sheets. One's for determining team rank, one is just determining the raw score for a specific event. And then you'll read aloud the student work, the team number, the raw score. You will not be allowed in the building unless you've got the rank order of those papers organized in that pile. So here's that scores counseling checklist. You will go down and check out here, make sure that everything is going to be in order. And what we're trying to do is eliminate error in scores getting transferred from the worksheet from a student test. Let's say, so you write a student test, and on the student test you write in a value. So let's say they get 82 out of 100 points. That has to be transferred into a spreadsheet, or it has to be transferred onto a worksheet that gets transferred into a spreadsheet. What I'm working on right now is we're building, and we may have available for us at the state tournament, an online system in which you enter it in online that gets then transferred immediately to the score counselors who pull it up, which means it's a one-step entry. What we have had in the past with these Excel spreadsheets that come from the national office is, while they're good, there is too many places where information is transferred from one step to another and error can be introduced. So this is why we have this very complicated system of entering scores and validating those scores to make sure that they are correct. So this is the way we've been doing it for a few years. We're going to have some things that we're going to do a little differently this year, but we may have on March 21st a very different system in place that will allow you to enter in the scores on your iPad or your iPhone. And if it doesn't happen this year, we will absolutely have it ready for next year. So you're going to bring that scoring summary sheet and that checklist to Creole, and you'll be directed to a computer lab. And then also we want to make sure that we get your cell phone so that if there's any questions after the fact, we can answer those. And I might actually even fire off an email like on Saturday or on Sunday or Monday if teams have got a question. We also want to make sure that your arbitrations have been cleared for your event before you leave. Lunch. So we will have lunch available for everybody in the Creole lobby. Wackadoos is catering. We're going to have pulled pork and salad and macaroni and cheese and some good food. Starting at 11:30, you will send somebody from your event to come over and get it. We'll have containers that will make transport a little easier. But starting at 11:30, send it over. And then we don't have a break for lunch. Just have somebody bring it back to your event location, and then you can go ahead and eat. So when you come to the competition on March 21st, you'll come to Creole 102 to pick up your packets. You'll get a polo shirt. I'll be sending an email out, if I haven't already, with a form to select, to put in your name and then select your shirt size. And then we will have a meeting at 8:10 a.m. in Creole 102. And that's for everybody. So that's for the event supervisors, event assistants, and the coaches. And the only thing is, though, you might want to make sure that somebody's still back at that location. If you have to do impound, we want to make sure somebody is there to do that. This 8:10 a.m. meeting will last about 30 minutes. And then you'll go to your rooms to finalize setup. I will be on campus at about 6:30 a.m. Rooms are supposed to be open absolutely at 7. If there's any room that's not open, I need to know immediately. We have contracted with security to get all the rooms open. I say impound opens at 9, but I've said really we want that started at 8 because there's going to be 42 teams you have to impound. First events start at 9. The impounded events start at 10. And then you have a great day. So if you have any questions, shoot me an email. You can follow us on Twitter at Science Olympiad, and also look at our website. Make sure you check out the clarifications. And once again, I'd like to thank you so much for helping out. There's no way I could do this without you. In total, I usually have about 200 to 225 people help with our state tournament. So again, thank you so much for watching, and shoot me any questions that you might have.